I've said to you guys a million times before, this video is going to be slightly different, but I've said millions of times before that men and women are on different timelines. The fact that women get to 30 and they start panicking doesn't mean that we should as men. And I think that narrative that's written into society that a man gets to 30 or anybody gets to 30 and it's panic stations is so silly, because as a man, you're only just getting started. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be discussing the kind of theory that I have that a 30-year-old man is equivalent to an 18-year-old woman. Now I think a woman gets to 18 and she's very happy. You know, her whole life is ahead of her. She's optimistic. She believes she's going to meet the man of her dreams, get married, get a good job. You know, all these things are going to go well. She's going to start moving forward in life. She instantly has high value. She gets dressed up in a tight silk red dress, goes to a club, and every single guy is looking at her, you know, and she thinks, oh, I could take over the world. She has that big optimism. I think as a man, we get that same feeling, or those same collection of feelings at 30 years old. And I've said to you guys a million times before, this video is going to be slightly different, but I've said millions of times before that men and women are on different timelines. The fact that women get to 30 and they start panicking doesn't mean that we should as men. And I think that narrative that's written into society that a man gets to 30 or anybody gets to 30 and it's panic stations is so silly, because as a man, you're only just getting started. I believe, like, let's say if a woman gets to 18, somebody turns her egg timer over. That sand begins to fall. I believe a man's doesn't get turned until he hits 30. And I think at 30, that sand begins to fall. Because I think if a woman gets to 30 and she's single, she doesn't have kids, she doesn't have a house, mortgage, whatever, you know, people go, oh, shit, it's time to panic, because I don't know where you're going to end up. Like, your value is beginning to drop by the day. And I think once that egg time, it doesn't run out at 30 for women, but I think once it gets to 30, there's not a lot left. And a lot of people go, ooh, you know, have you kept yourself in great shape? Have you aged well? You know, that's a big problem for white women. They don't age very well, right? Of all the cases that I've seen of women in their 30s that look fantastic, most of them are, you know, famous, obviously, because they got more money, but most of them are foreign women. Black women especially, they look fantastic in their 30s compared to white women. But the majority of women will get to like 30 years old, and it's kind of that egg time has been flipped, you know, for 10 years, and the sand's been falling down, and it's panic stations. And we have this narrative in the modern world that, you know, a man gets to 30 and we all go, shit, panic stations, what have you done with your life? What are you doing? You're a waste of space, you're a waste of time. I don't think that's the narrative that we should be following. I think as a man, I think from pretty much 16, but let's say 18 to play it fair, 18 to 30, that 12-year run is a test period. Now do the best in that test that you can possibly do, improve yourself, move forward in life, but it is ultimately a test. You know, if a man gets to 30 and he hasn't achieved success, but he's had a string of jobs, he's put some experience on the board, you know, he's dated a few girls, whatever, what he's got is experience to then take into his better years of his life to then move forward. And I just think it's completely different. And I think as soon as a man gets to 30, that timer begins to switch. Because I think if a man gets to 40 and he's broke, he's got nothing to his name, etc., yeah, maybe then there's a case, you know, for people to say, shit, you know, things aren't going too well here. Maybe we need to go back to the blueprint, or maybe go to the fail-safe and maybe, you know, chase down a normal life. Like, let's say if somebody was working on a business from 18 and they got to 40 and they had nothing to show for it. Yeah, maybe that's the time, you know, to shake hands and say, maybe I'm not a good entrepreneur or something like that, you know, and go back the other way and maybe go and get a 9-to-5 job. But I just think this narrative of just pushing it on us all the time that men and women are on the same timeline is just silly. It's just so silly. And I honestly think that a 30-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman is the exact same scenario. The kind of optimism and the belief that a woman can have at 18, that she can take over the world and she's the most powerful figure in society, which, you know, she's top 2, definitely. There's rich men and obviously women, beautiful women underneath. And most women that are like 18 years old, you know, are pretty hot. You know, most women that are 18 years old aren't looking, let's say, too overweight. Let's say they haven't lost their looks yet, etc. They've got the best of what they'll ever have. So minimum, they're going to be like a 6 out of 10, right? So they believe that they can take over the world. A couple gym sessions, you know, and they're hot shit. Whereas for a man, I think we get that same feeling at 30 where we go, oh shit, now I actually have some money. Now I actually have some value. You know, I'm noticing more women are wanting me. Oh shit, like, oh, what's the future going to hold? You know, that same optimistic feeling that women get at 18, a man gets at 30. Or you've been working on a business, it finally clicks into gear. You turn 29, 30, and you go, oh my God, I feel so young. Like, I thought I'd feel old. I feel absolutely great. Like, there's no change in my body. And any 40-year-old guy that I speak to is like, yeah, I stayed in the gym. There's no change in my body. I feel youthful. I feel great. Like, I feel just as I did at 25. Like, I feel no different. And I think that feeling for a man every time, you know, once we get to 30, we go, oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. But you look at women and they're panicking, they're stressing, they're aging very quickly. Whereas for a man, you kind of just blossom, you develop, and you go, oh, you know, or look at the possibilities. Like, my life, it only feels like it's just getting started. That's what so many guys think when they hit 30. I personally am 28, and guys who are watching this that are like 18, 19, 20, 21, you might think I'm really old. 28 is really old. I'm telling you, I feel exactly the same as I did at like 21, 22, just a lot wiser. It's a lot smarter. You know, I feel like I'm in better shape. I'm fitter. I'm stronger. Like, people who say, oh, 30's done, 30's old. Like, honestly, guys, it's so young. It's so early in a man's life. And I'm sat here at 28, and yeah, my business did get deleted, but I've rebuilt it and it's back to where it used to be pretty much today. And then it's going to go on some in the next couple of years. And with the supplement company, the clothing and everything that I'm rolling out at the moment, which looks as though it's being executed on in the next couple of days, I just think, wow, like, I'm so optimistic about turning 30. I'm so happy. I'm thinking, God, 30 to 50 is going to be like 20 years of just this block of just my social value being at the top. You know, I'm going to be the one in society that can hold all the value. At 18, that was impossible. Whereas at 18, a woman would have had those exact same feelings. Like, all the girls that you grew up with and stuff, you came out of school and they went on to get jobs and older boyfriends, and they're sat in his like Porsche or something. They're going out for nice meals, and you're just sat there like, shit, I can't even afford a new pair of trainers. They experience that young. They experience that straight away. And that egg timer, like I said, it flips. And that's why women have this goal to be 30 years old, have everything in place, marriage, mortgage, kids, husband, tick, done. Okay, now I'm safe. You know, even if a divorce comes along, I'm protected, because looks are like a deposit box. Her sex appeal is very much like a security deposit box. As soon as she loses that, the code's easy to crack. And I feel as though, you know, her life can fall apart, but that's why she needs that security in place. And this is what society won't tell you. They say it's in place for the children, for whatever. It's for diminishing looks. That's exactly what it is. I believe that a lot of women know that their value is going to do that, and they need some financial thing in place to protect them. Now, women are earning more money themselves now, and they necessarily don't need men, but it's always nice to have in place, right? If you're going to diminish quickly, you're going to need something in place. But for a man, we're going to peak later. Like I've told you guys multiple times. We're going to get to 36 years old. We're going to be at our ultimate peak. That's like nearly 20 years later than a woman's peak. That's crazy, guys. And you see all these like Hello magazines and Sex in the City and all this media is pushed in front of our faces, and it's like, oh, 30, hit 30. Fuck, you're 30 now. That's, for a man, honestly, 30 is like 18 years old. And I want you guys to remember that for as long as you fucking can. And when you get to 30, like I said, I'm 28, I'm not there yet, but when you get around that age, you start to realize, I feel great. I feel great. I feel like, apart from my hair, I feel like I haven't aged one bit. And it's like, what is, you know, that's like $8,000 to get it replaced. It's nothing. If you're successful, it's so easy. But you just think to yourself, as a man, you get to 30 years old and it's not as bad as the media says, because everything that you see on the news, everything you see in the media, everything you see in films, it's all designated to women. Like, apart from Fight Club and a few other films, there's nothing that's been made for men. So it's very easy to read into that narrative when you're young. Let's say you're 21. And here's the big problem, right, guys? I'm getting excited now. This is what First Man's all about, right? Passion, optimism. Here's the problem. A guy's 21, 22 years old, and he sees this narrative in the media, and he thinks, okay, I'm going to get to 30 and my life's over. And it's a big fucking problem because he's got that ingrained in his mind, and he makes short-term decisions. He marries the first fucking woman he sees. He gets a job quickly. He tries to get money in the bank. The first thing he does with his money is get a car and a house, which he doesn't really want. And he has dreams, but he puts them to the side because he wants to go, well, I'm 30 and I've got everything in play. And then he gets to 30 and goes, shit, like, I'm actually attracting more women now than I ever was before. Like, I'm getting more promotions at work than I ever was before, which is good. You can still go and enjoy life. But you might have already signed off. You might already have the kids, the marriage, the mortgage, etc. And now 700,000-800,000 of your money is tied up, right? And I've done that video before about 27 being the most dangerous age for men because everything falls apart in like a 5-6 year run after that, and it's ridiculous. But so many young men have this idea that 30 is old, and I'm here to tell you at 28 and a couple months, 30 seems so young to me right now. Like 50 seems young to me as a man. Like I look at 50 and I think, God, like I don't see that as being old if you've got a lot of money or if you're successful. You know, I'm making a video on this soon about being an older guy who's still not got it sorted out, but I'll probably make that today. But you look at guys, let's say in Hollywood, that are like 45 years old. They look about 28. They look about 30 years old. Like as soon as a man reaches 30, he doesn't age for like 10, 15, 20 years. You know, and we have that ability to kind of get into that peak zone, and then we have that long-lasting thing. So I don't know if anybody's ever played. I remember this was on Pro Evolution. I think it's on FIFA as well. But Pro Evolution football game back in the day, and I'm sure it's on Madden, NBA, and stuff like that. They have different growth strategies. So there's some players that would peak young, and then once they hit like 24, 25, it would start to decline slowly. And there was some players that would have a mid-peak and then drop down. So like the middle-age career would be good. But then there was some players who, they'd be late bloomers. You know, I don't know if anybody follows football, but players like Diego Forlan. There's plenty of players that didn't have good careers when they were younger. You know, they really struggled, and then they peak later and they have more of a lasting one. So they end up having like 5, 6, 7 years at the top, whereas there might have been a player who burst on the scene and then nothing happened. You know, their career declines and now they're at the bottom of the run. And being a man is very much like that. You know, women will do that meteoric rise. They'll get all the fame, all the, you know, everybody wants them. They're that young, new, hot prospect in sports, the Zion Williamson. But what you want to be that player, I might be speaking out of turn here, but like a Tim Duncan, that just kind of just gets to the top, stays at the top, consistent for multiple years, and just keeps doing it. And that's what you'll get. Like, a guy will get to 30 and go, oh, wow, all this shit that I was told was a load of bollocks. I feel as young as I've ever felt. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. I look better than I've ever been before. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm attracting more women than ever. God, if your 30s are like this, then it just keeps going. You know, you've got more assets, you've got more stuff to your name, you're smarter, you're more empathetic, you understand things. Like, life in general is just better. But we have this media narrative that you'll get to 30 and it'll all be over. And I think just that knowledge alone, that a man at 30 is like a woman at 18, will stop guys rushing. And I see this so much, guys just rushing decisions, making decisions rashly and quickly, being like, I'm 30 next year, you know, I probably won't attract a girl as hot as this ever again. It's like, guy, trust me, you will. You know, if you keep staying in the gym, keep working on yourself, you could be 36 with a girl 10 times hotter than her, with more assets, a better life, you know, everything you've ever wanted. And there's always time to go back and get a 9-to-5 job, worst case scenario, or, you know, if you are working on your 9-to-5 job and going for the promotions, there's always time in the future to you know, move into a humble home, get a part-time job and stay with the kids all day. You know, there's always time to go back to the easy shit because piece of piss to do. But just don't forget that, guys, that a man at 30 is like a woman at 18. It's the same fucking dynamic, the same optimism, the same, you know, they're at the same stage. Their value is rising at the same point, right? And don't ever forget that, because it will help you with your decision making and what you want to do in life, because then you'll realize you have time. And you won't keep rushing shit and forcing things through and saying, I need to do this now with it. Like, I'm 28 and I'm going, I'm 30 in 2 years. Yeah, so what? Whereas I could be going, fuck, I need to rush some projects forward. Streaming platform, I don't care. I'm just going to grab the camera and just do something. Whereas I'm like, no, I'm so young. Like, I haven't even started yet. Like, the fact I'm 28 and even doing stuff like this is a giant head start on 99.9% of men on planet Earth. You know, most guys get to like 40 and go, fuck, that whole corporate thing just wasn't what it was supposed to be. I want to start my own company. I want to do something different. I want to make something in my life. I'm not doing this at 50, 60. And, you know, the fact I'm 28 and I'm doing this, I know I've got a head start. And knowing that men peak later will give you better decision making. It will make you more patient. And patience is the key to a good male life.